SpaceX's Starlink satellites have been making headlines recently due to their potential impact on the tech industry. With many of these satellites expected to fall from space in the coming years, experts are exploring the science behind their descent and what it means for the future of technology. As a highly skilled assistant specializing in digital marketing, I have been keeping a close eye on the conversation surrounding Starlink and the potential implications for businesses worldwide. In this video, we'll delve into the science behind the falling satellites and explore what this means for businesses and consumers alike. From the potential impact on internet connectivity to the challenges facing the tech industry, we'll take a closer look at the fascinating world of Starlink and its impact on the digital landscape. So, buckle up and get ready to explore the science behind SpaceX's Starlink satellites and their potential impact on the tech industry. What causes the satellites to fall from space? One of the main reasons Starlink satellites are falling from space is due to their low orbit. Satellites orbiting at a lower altitude experience more drag from the Earth's atmosphere, which ultimately causes them to lose altitude and eventually fall back to Earth. The Starlink satellites are designed to operate at an altitude of around 550 km, which is much lower than traditional communication satellites that typically orbit at around 36,000 km. This lower orbit allows for faster internet speeds and lower latency, but it also means that the satellites have a shorter lifespan and are more likely to fall from space. Another factor contributing to the falling satellites is their design. The Starlink satellites are much smaller and lighter than traditional communication satellites, which makes them more susceptible to being affected by atmospheric drag. They also have a shorter lifespan, with each satellite only expected to last around 5 years before falling back to Earth. While this shorter lifespan is intentional and helps to keep the satellite network up to date with the latest technology, it also means that there will be a constant stream of falling satellites over the next few years. Impact on the tech industry. The falling Starlink satellites could have a significant impact on the tech industry, particularly in the area of internet connectivity. The Starlink satellite network is designed to provide high-speed internet access to areas that are currently underserved by traditional internet providers. This includes rural areas, where traditional internet infrastructure is often lacking. With the falling satellites, however, there is a risk that the satellite network could become less reliable and potentially even unusable in some areas. The falling satellites could also impact the development of new satellite technologies. Companies developing satellite technology may be hesitant to invest in new designs if they are concerned about the potential risks associated with falling satellites. This could slow down innovation in the industry and limit the availability of new satellite technologies. There is also the issue of space debris. The falling Starlink satellites will create debris that could pose a risk to other satellites in orbit. This debris could damage other satellites or create a chain reaction of collisions, which could lead to a significant increase in space debris. This increase in space debris could make it more difficult to launch new satellites and could limit the availability of satellite services in the future. How SpaceX is addressing the issue. SpaceX has acknowledged the issue of falling satellites and is taking steps to address it. One of the ways they are addressing the issue is by designing the satellites to burn up upon re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. This helps to minimize the amount of debris that is created when the satellites fall from space. SpaceX is also developing technology to capture and remove debris from space, which could help to mitigate the impact of falling satellites and other space debris. SpaceX is also working closely with regulatory agencies to ensure that they are complying with all relevant regulations and guidelines. This includes working with the Federal Communications Commission to ensure that the Starlink satellite network does not interfere with other satellite services or cause harm to the environment. The science behind satellite design. The design of satellites is a complex process that involves a range of technologies and disciplines. Satellites are designed to operate in the harsh environment of space, where they are exposed to extreme temperatures, radiation, and other hazards. They must also be able to communicate with ground stations and other satellites, and they must be able to withstand the forces of launch and operational stresses. One of the key technologies used in satellite design is solar panels. Satellites rely on solar panels to generate electricity, which is used to power the satellite's communication systems and other equipment. Another important technology used in satellite design is propulsion systems. Satellites need to be able to adjust their orbit and maintain their position in space, which requires propulsion systems. There are a range of propulsion systems available, including chemical rockets, electric propulsion, and ion engines. Each of these systems has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the choice of propulsion system depends on the specific requirements of the satellite. Regulatory challenges faced by satellite companies. Satellite companies like SpaceX face a range of regulatory challenges, particularly when it comes to launching new satellites and operating satellite networks. One of the main challenges is obtaining the necessary licenses and approvals from regulatory agencies like the FCC. These agencies are responsible for ensuring that satellite networks do not interfere with other satellite services or cause harm to the environment. Another challenge faced by satellite companies is managing space debris. As we've discussed, falling satellites can create debris that poses a risk to other satellites and spacecraft in orbit. Satellite companies must take steps to minimize the amount of debris they create and must also work to remove debris from space when possible. Finally, the falling Starlink satellites are a complex issue with significant implications for the tech industry. While the Starlink satellite network has the potential to revolutionize internet connectivity and bring high-speed internet to underserved areas, the falling satellites pose a risk to the reliability of the network and the development of new satellite technologies. SpaceX is taking steps to address the issue, including designing satellites to burn up upon re-entry and launching new satellites to replace the ones that fall from space. Regulatory agencies are also working closely with satellite companies to ensure that they are complying with all relevant regulations and guidelines. As the tech industry continues to evolve, it will be important to closely monitor the impact of falling satellites and the steps being taken to address the issue.